Every time you think the Meghan Markle drama can't get any crazier, someone comes along and proves you totally wrong. And this time, the bomb didn't drop from a royal insider or some gossip writer. It came from inside a prison cell, supposedly from none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Maxwell, the woman connected to the darkest parts of Jeffrey Epstein's world, a convicted insider who knows exactly how deep those secrets go. For months, she'd been totally silent. Then suddenly word gets out that she's been talking. And what she said didn't just barely mention Meghan Markle's name. It pointed a finger right at her. According to what sources are saying, Maxwell didn't just whisper some rumors. She claimed there's a CV out there, but not the kind you'd give to someone hiring you. This wasn't about acting jobs or charity stuff. No, this was supposed to be something way more shocking. A record of activities that looked nothing like the Hallmark actress turned Duchess fairy tale that Meghan has built her whole image on. And that's how this whole story kicks off, with hints of a hidden document that could completely change everything the public thought they knew about Meghan Markle. Now, let's stop for a second. What exactly is this so-called CV? The story describes it like this. A document floating around somewhere in the shadows that supposedly shows Meghan's life before royalty in a totally different way. Not a list of acting roles or auditions, but something connected to adult entertainment and private scenarios. The phrase Maxwell supposedly used is creepy because it's so vague, playing the adult game. That's the kind of language that's meant to stick with you. It's unclear enough that you can deny it, but juicy enough to make people talk. It doesn't spell out anything specific, but it puts images in people's heads, and once that idea is planted, it doesn't go away. Think about it. Meghan has spent years presenting herself as a lifestyle expert, a voice for women, a royal rebel who walked away from the palace system. But the idea that there's a hidden file out there, one that connects her to circles of money, power, and darker stuff, is the type of story that doesn't just trend for one day. It changes how people see the whole story. And here's why it's so risky. Maxwell's claim didn't come from trashy magazines. It was linked to a leaked statement from prison. That alone makes it feel more serious. Because when whispers come from behind bars attached to someone who's been convicted and was on the inside, people don't brush it off so easily. They pay attention. They want to hear more. If Maxwell's words were the match, then this is the fuse that runs straight into the fire. Because while Meghan's supporters say she had nothing to do with Epstein's world, Virginia's legal team thought differently. Virginia, the woman who was at the center of exposing Prince Andrew, who bravely spoke publicly about what Epstein's circle did to her, wasn't some random person to Meghan Markle. According to her lawyer, they knew each other. Not just barely. Not through rumors. They actually knew each other. And that's why Meghan's name showed up in court documents. Not as some attention-grabbing trick, not as a sideshow, but because her testimony under oath might have been important. Virginia's lawyer made it clear Meghan could back up details about the royals, about Prince Andrew, about who was present when terrible things were happening. This totally shifts the story. Meghan isn't being portrayed as a victim or as someone on the outside looking in. She's being described as someone who might have had direct knowledge, someone who saw enough to be significant. And when a lawyer is willing to put your name on official court papers, it means they think you're holding information that could blow the case wide open. For Meghan, that connection to Virginia was a thread she probably hoped no one would ever pull on. But once someone tugged at it, it showed a much bigger picture. The second part is even more damaging. The story lays it out clearly. Meghan wasn't just some guest hanging around the edges of royal circles. She was described as a close companion of Prince Andrew. That specific wording matters. Words like acquaintance or associate are pretty neutral. But close companion, that's intentional. It suggests familiarity. It hints at not just contact but real access. And access means opportunity. The chance to hear private talks, to see arrangements being made, to notice things that other people might have completely missed. This isn't just guilt by association. This cuts deeper. Because being close to Prince Andrew doesn't just mean being close to royalty. It means being close to the man right at the center of Epstein's royal scandal. The same Andrew who was told by his own advisors to get ready for major problems when Epstein's government files started coming out. Now picture Meghan in that situation. She wasn't married to Harry yet. She wasn't the Duchess of Sussex yet. She was a young woman moving around powerful men in powerful circles, building connections that would eventually take her to the palace. And according to these claims, she wasn't just around, she was close. When you put that closeness together with Maxwell's claim about a compromising CV, the story stops being just gossip. It becomes a question of access and knowledge. What did Meghan see? What did she know? And most importantly, why hasn't she ever talked about it? But here's where things get even worse for Meghan. Because even if she wanted to deny everything, her own past works against her. Remember when she told everyone she had nothing to do with the book Finding Freedom? She sat back while the story made it look like she wasn't involved. She even let her lawyers use that as a defense, but then the court documents came out, proof that she actually had worked behind the scenes with the writers. Emails, messages, input. It was all right there. In other words, she lied, not just to the media, but in connection with legal stuff. And when the paper trail showed the truth, she had to make an embarrassing reversal. So now ask yourself this. If Meghan has already been caught twisting the truth when the situation wasn't even that serious, what happens when the situation involves Epstein, Andrew, and federal investigations? When the questions come while she's under oath, when every single word she says could change the result of lawsuits, does she suddenly become totally honest? Or does she stick to her selective version of events? This is why Virginia's attorney's confidence seemed empty. He thought Meghan could be trusted to tell the truth. But Meghan's history suggests something else. She's shown the world she can shape reality, bend facts, and tell the version of the story that works best for her. And that's the real danger. Because the higher the stakes get, the stronger the temptation to twist things, to sort of admit things, to flat out deny. And for Meghan, the stakes have never been this high. So, how did Meghan react? She didn't. No denials, no official statements, no aggressive legal letters to defend her reputation. Just silence, a carefully managed Instagram page, a few polished media appearances for her lifestyle business, a smiling picture here, a jar of jam there, and nothing else. But in situations like this, silence isn't neutral. Silence carries weight. Silence makes people wonder because if someone throws a totally false accusation at you, the normal reaction is to shut it down immediately and hard. Yet, Meghan's team stayed completely quiet. That quiet is what started to say the most because silence can mean a lot of things. Fear, strategy, or just plain avoidance. And in this case, it fed into the exact thing Meghan needed to prevent. The thought that maybe there really is something to hide. Ghislaine Maxwell's credibility is obviously destroyed. She's a convicted insider, a woman with every reason to manipulate the truth. But the irony is harsh. Even someone like her doesn't need a lot of proof to cause real damage when the target is Meghan Markle. Because Meghan's silence gives Maxwell's words room to breathe. And so instead of putting out the fire, Meghan's refusal to say anything became the fuel that made it bigger. This is where the danger becomes truly serious. Let's imagine for a second that the CV Maxwell talked about ever actually appears. Through a leak, someone who blows the whistle, or even worse, through legal discovery in court. What happens then? Even if it's exaggerated, even if it's twisted, the consequences would be massive. Because how things look often matters more than what's actually true. And once the media gets a file like that in its teeth, there's no going back. Meghan would be totally trapped. If she stays silent, critics say it proves guilt. If she denies it, doubters call it damage control. And if she tries to sue someone, then that file, if it really exists, would have to come out in discovery. Courtrooms don't mess around. They want hard evidence. They want proof. And a single document could destroy everything she's worked to build. Supporters can say it's all made up. They can brush it off as just rumors. But here's what's different. These accusations aren't coming from random internet trolls. They're connected to convicted insiders and lawyers who have already shown they know how to use legal consequences as a weapon. For Meghan, that's game over. And here we are. The final chapter. From the very start, this story wasn't about whispers from trashy magazines or small fights inside the palace. It was about a convicted insider, Ghislaine Maxwell, bringing Meghan Markle's name into the darkest scandal of our generation. Not casually, not as a throwaway comment, but deliberately and with the suggestion of a document, a so-called CV that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about Meghan's history. Think about that. Maxwell, a woman who was right at the center of Epstein's operation, doesn't just drop names for no reason. She understands the power her words have. She knows how much damage a single phrase like playing the adult game can cause. And she used it like lighting a match near gasoline. Now Meghan is standing at a turning point. Her empire, the podcasts, the lifestyle brand, the carefully constructed image of a duchess turned lifestyle guru looks shaky when placed next to the shadow of that supposed file. Because creating a brand is one thing, but public perception is everything. And once people sense you're hiding something, no amount of pretty colors or smooth PR can stop what's coming. The silence is what makes it even worse. Meghan hasn't said anything. Not a denial, not a legal warning, not even a gently worded statement from her team. And in a scandal like this, silence isn't playing it safe. It's creating suspicion. The question isn't whether Meghan Markle's past will catch up to her anymore. It's how much of it the world will actually get to see. Because if that CV ever comes out through a leak, a court filing, or someone who talks, it won't just hurt her brand, it will blow it up completely. And that's why Ghislaine Maxwell's words echo like a threat. Because even from inside prison walls, she's managed to connect Meghan Markle to a story that doesn't just disappear. It stays, it grows, and it threatens to destroy everything Meghan has built while trying to control her own story. The final chapter is simple. Either the document stays hidden forever or one day the truth comes crashing out into the open. And if that happens, Meghan's past life won't just get exposed. It will become who she is.